address the gaps that were identified. This report serves as a call to action for relevant stakeholders to implement the committee's recommendations, ensuring the nation fully realizes the benefits of the ATI. I therefore submit this report for consideration and adoption by the esteemed members of the National Assembly. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to move.
20 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair Media. May I have a seconder? A seconder. Lilongwe Mpenu, you have the floor.
It is Lilongwe Mpenu Nkoma.
Oh yes, thanks for the correction.
Madam Deputy Speaker, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I rise to second the report on the Parliamentary Committee on Media, Information and Communications. Among stakeholders and the Act itself as regards to its implementation. It was noted that the most institutions do not comply with the law due to lack of political will or indeed lack of knowledge on the Act despite its enactment 3 years ago. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, let me remind the public that within the perspective of the 2030 Agenda and the Malai 2063, access to information is critical for empowering the public to make decisions, holding governments accountable, evaluating public officials in implementing and monitoring the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and facilitating effective public participation. It is therefore very crucial for the Minister of Information, in conjunction with the Malay Human Rights Commission, to conduct intensive awareness campaigns on the ETI and educate Malawians on their right to access to public information. The Minister of Information also needs to be proactive and ensure that information holders comply with the law. The review of the law needs to be fast-tracked to provide penalties to non-compliant institutions. At this point, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I therefore second this report for the benefit of the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the people of Lilongwe Mpenu Nkoma, for seconding the report. Honorable members, the floor is now open for general debate. Mwanza West, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Second Deputy Speaker, for recognizing the people of Mwanza West constituency and for giving us an opportunity to debate on the report which has been ably presented by our committee chairperson. Second Deputy Speaker, let me agree with the chairperson and the seconder of the report that indeed, as a media committee, we had time to engage the various stakeholders as outlined by the chairperson. And it's sad, Second Deputy Speaker, to note that some of the institutions didn't even know what the Access to Information Act is all about. It was really sad to note that during those meetings, they didn't even know why, as Malawi, we need the ATI. So with the meetings that we had, I believe, on behalf of the people of Mwanza West constituency, we can do better than how we are doing it now. Because yes, we did the engagements, but still, we feel that there are a lot of institutions that are still not complying with the Access to Information Act. Maybe the issue could be lack of information, but also maybe the Malawi Human Rights Commission didn't do a lot of sensitization. So we urge that maybe when we are doing our budget, since this is a budget session, we should also consider allocating adequate resources to Malawi Human Rights Commission so that at least they should be able to sensitize, including the communities, on the issues of the ATI. I was just thinking on what if in a situation where our communities or our constituencies are sensitized on ATI and they are able to hold us accountable, they are able to seek information from us regarding maybe the projects that even we are doing in our constituencies where they feel there's need for them to get clarity on some issues, that will even be more helpful. Second, Deputy Speaker, you are aware that the whole purpose of the access to information, one of it is to make sure that we fight against issues of corruption so that institutions are transparent and accountable when they are transacting business. So if people are not aware, or Malawians are not aware of what exactly is in the access to information and the rights they have and how they can access information, I feel it's not going to be effective and it's not going to meet its intended objective. Therefore, I urge that as Malawi Human Rights Commission to make sure that they work hard to make sure that they sensitize not just even the rural people, but even some of the members of parliament. Yes, we make laws, but sometimes we don't really know the nitty-gritties or maybe how the law is being implemented. So at some point, I feel it's also good so that we are engaged and then have more, knowledge on issues of ATI, so that at least we are also able to assist in disseminating the information, but also making sure that we are making our constituents able to hold us accountable and transparent. Otherwise, Second Deputy Speaker, the people of Mwanza West constituency really recommend the chairperson of the media committee and her team for making sure that she works hard to make sure that this is done. It's high time this law was, passed, and what was remaining is implementation, which I should be thankful, Second Deputy Speaker, to the chairperson, that we have seen that of late this has been, made popular, and a lot of institutions now are aware of ATI. My request to the chairperson is to make sure that those remaining institutions should be pushed to make sure that they comply with ATI. And without mincing words, Second Deputy Speaker, it was sad to note that even Parliament was not, complying with ATI. So I believe we'll be the first to make sure that we implement that. We set a good example to other institutions, so that together, if we make sure that this is implemented accordingly, then definitely we'll be able to fight against issues of corruption, and we'll be transparent and accountable to the people that put us into offices. With these few remarks, Second Deputy Speaker, I support the report presented by my chairperson. Thank you, Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much. The people of Mwanza West. Anyone to take the floor? No. Leader, guide us. Chief Whip? Okay.
Yeah, the Chief Whip is sitting down because I wanted to speak something on it, not just to conclude the process. Madam, in the first place, I would like to thank the committee and actually congratulate them for a good job that they have done. Access to information is what all members of parliament should be looking for. Now, if, for instance, members of our constituency would know how much money is coming to the councils and how much projects we are doing for the communities, that would even help us as members of parliament. Transparency and accountability is very, very critical. And therefore, Madam, access to information is very, very critical. It helps to curb corruption, because days are gone or time is gone where people can only be told that there is this type of funding. That if people want to ask, they can probe and get to know how much that has been funded and what has it done, what has it actually accomplished. And therefore, I would like to urge the committee that after doing this great job, they should not stop from there. They should actually work to make sure that Malawi Human Rights, together with all institutions that are mandated to support access to information are indeed doing a great job. For government, access to information is going to help us, because it's not only information that is today. Information even that was supposed to be shared in the past. People have borrowed money in the name of projects. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, as I speak now, we have got so much which was borrowed for the country. Very little that was done. And it's time to question, where has that money gone? Who took that money? What did they do with that money? Malawians borrowed that money through the leaders that were there. And Malawians are entitled and have the right, Second Deputy Speaker, to question where that money has gone. Remember the issue of tractors. We are talking about mega farms today because some leader somewhere else, late Professor Bingu Wamtaliga, had thought of what Dr. Chakwera is doing today. What Dr. Chakwera is doing today about mega farms. Dr. Bingu also thought about it. Try to borrow money for tractors. Where are those tractors today? The nation must know where the tractors went. That's what access to information is. There is actually a whole booklet of projects that were presented here in Parliament. Programs that were shared here in Parliament. Monies that were borrowed here in Parliament. Through Parliament. Billions and billions, which we are paying today. But we must now question, who took that money? Where is that money? What happened to that money? So Malawians must be able to know what happened. And therefore, I would like to ask the Parliamentary Committee on Media to indeed support Malawi Human Rights Commission and all other institutions so that Malawians today should be able to access information. When access to information is implemented, Malawians will be able to know how much money this government is trickling down to the communities. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, for the first time indeed, and which is good news, this government is making sure that money goes down to the community. For instance, many people don't know there is a $100 million US project under GSED, which is going across all councils. That money, Madam Speaker, is helping to alleviate poverty and improve service delivery. And we need to make sure Malawians out there can ask. There are many projects out there which people are not asking. CDF. Madam Speaker, everybody here, a member of Parliament, when they stand up here, they're asking for increase of CDF. If there is a government that wants money to trickle down to the communities through projects and programs and funds such as CDF, it is this government. And this government will continue to do that. But if there's no transparency, if there's no accountability, there's no reason why money must be increased. Money must be increased. And I'm one of the people that are lobbying for the increase of CDF. But at the same time, I'm also lobbying for transparency and accountability. Because that money is for the poor Malawian out there. It is not for a member of Parliament. It is not for a councillor. It is not for a chief. It is for a Malawian. And access to information will help. Because villagers can go and ask a DC, we got 100 million. What has that done? I was so much happy to hear what Mwanza West said yesterday. Lining projects and projects of what CDF has done. If all members of Parliament rise up in this house and talk about what CDF has done, including the Second Deputy Speaker, Madam, believe you me, it will not be easy for the President to increase CDF again. But if people are hiding, it's going to be very difficult. We must make CDF accessible to every corner of the country. And the people must know how much money is coming to the communities. If you are hiding, or if you are afraid of people coming to audit you, there is something you are hiding. And no one else should hide. And when you don't hide, when transparency is there, it means more money will come. For me, I dream of CDF doubling. I dream of CDF tripling. But as I dream, I also dream of transparency and accountability. I also dream of communities knowing
how much money is coming to their communities. No one should hide the monies. It is not money for us, it is money for the communities. Therefore, thank you so much, Committee on Media, Chairperson, and everyone for supporting and bringing that report to the House. I am seeing, I wanted to ask that we end up debate, but I'm seeing two more people. Maybe because I've spoken about CDF. But don't forget to talk about transparency and accountability.
Thank you very much, Leader. And for Mango Chinkungulu, the list is ready. It can be made public even now. Zomba GC, then Zomba Ntonya, then we go to Nzimba South. Thank you.
Second Deputy Speaker, thank you very much for recognizing the people of Zomba Chisi. Right Honorable Second Deputy Speaker, as I need to declare my interest, Second Deputy Speaker, that I am a former Minister of Information, and because of that honorable designation, I particularly championed the passing of access to information. As a matter of fact, it was passed when I was a mere member of parliament, a backbencher, but I championed for it to be rolled out. And I'm glad that our colleagues in government today have been able to operationalize it. That said, I need to also thank the Honorable Chairperson of the committee for the presentation of the report, and indeed the committee for the work they have done to work on that report and indeed to present it here in Parliament. Second Deputy Speaker, I was motivated. I had initially not wanted to speak on this, but I've been motivated by honorable member for the Doa East, who is also leader of the House. I believe he contributed in his capacity as member of parliament for Doa East. I've been motivated because some of the issues that he has highlighted touch on the issue of accountability and transparency. He has spoken so much on the CDF and indeed the funds that trickle down to the districts, but from the central government. But I believe this House is aware that there is so much money that goes into our councils coming from development partners, non-governmental organizations, and other sectors which are not accounted for. As members of the councils, ourselves as members of parliament, we hardly take interest in holding our councils to account for those funds that come outside of government system. You will find that in a district there's more than 200 NGOs that are working in there, but not knowing exactly what they're doing on the ground. And there's money that is pumped into their accounts, which is actually meant for the people, but it is not being accounted for. And this money is not even subject to audit by our auditing systems. So I want to, as we are indeed calling for the actual operationalization of this act and indeed rolling it out, people must know that they have responsibility to ask or to question their institutions in order for the institutions to be accountable to them. Second Deputy Speaker, we have lamented this even in our committee in public accounts, where even the audited accounts in the councils are not even made available to members of the council. So members of the council do not even know whether their councils, first and foremost, are being audited, and indeed the results of those audits. These are issues that we need to make sure that our councils are accounted for. So I am calling that maybe certain strategies need to be put in place as we are rolling out this act. Because it is important that our people are not given a raw deal insofar as accountability of the resources are concerned. So the people of Zombachisi support this, considering that we also championed this at some point, and we can only believe that our colleagues in government will be able to commit themselves to make sure that this is indeed rolled out on the ground. And indeed the people, especially in the countryside, should be able to understand what this act is all about. With those few remarks, Second Deputy Speaker, we, the people of Zombachisi, support this report presented by the Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zomba Ntonya, leader of UDF.
Thank you.
Leader, I'm being accused of not respecting you, but I wanted you to be the last because Zomba is Amajabwine.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe they thought that maybe leaders could be given a priority. That's what they were thinking. But never mind, Madam Speaker. That time I was standing, and I'm still standing as the representative of the people of Zomba Ntonya. Madam Speaker,
Order, honorable members.
Madam Speaker, I would like to buttress the points that the leader of the House has presented pertaining to the report on the floor. Firstly, I would like to commend the Committee on Media for the job well done. Honestly, when we are using funds from the public, it is very important to bring everything in the open. What the leader has said, Madam Speaker, is very important. He dwelled much on the CDF. Because most people in our constituencies, they don't know what CDF does or what are the processes of CDF. People out there, they think that maybe MPs, they have checkbooks for CDF. They don't even know that the MPs do not touch even a payment voucher at the council. It is the council that processes the payments. What we normally do as MPs, with the help from the councillors and the area development committee, is to identify the projects. That's the only thing that MPs do. So, for example, I'll give you an example of the projects that we've achieved, we've managed to do in Zomba Ntonya. As I'm talking now, we have roofed at least 82 CBOs, CBCCs, 82. Just last week, we've received iron sheets for us to roof the next 11 CBCCs. That's an achievement that CDF has brought in our constituency. As I'm talking to you now, the bridge between Sala Community Day Secondary School to Zaone Trading Center, we've put a concrete deck bridge. Not only that, Namiwa Bridge between GVH Manafum and GVH Malua has got a concrete bridge. As I'm talking now, what I'm trying to say now is to give a picture of what CDF is doing in our area. I know a lot of MPs have got stories to tell about CDF. In this regard, I would like to take this opportunity to request the president, the state president of this country, to at least increase the CDF this financial year. Why am I saying this? Madam Speaker, if there is a fund or resources at the council that is working for the people, is the CDF. I'm saying all this to make the people in our villages to understand the importance of access to information bill. With those few remarks, I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, the people of Zomba Ntonya. I now recognize Mzimba South.
Thank you
Mzimba
so much.
South, focus on the report, not CDF. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. Since a lot of members have talked much about the CDF, I'll highlight something that is very critical for the nation and also for the people. I'm here, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, just to support and also give comments to the consultative meetings that our colleagues from media, information and communication were doing. in order to assess their compliance with the Access to Information Bill, Information Act that is in motion. Madam Second Speaker, my comment will just be on one area, more especially here at Parliament, because the report highlights that some of the information that we have here at Parliament do not go out there for people to know. I wish Lily to agree with those comments to say that some of the critical information that people from the north, people from the center, and people from the south needs to be aware. If you can recall very well, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, last sitting of Parliament, there were movements that were happening within some parties. People from the north were being neglected. I remember DPP removed the Honorable Mwase. By that time, he was whip. And this time again, people were not aware. People from the north were not aware. And this time again, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, if you notice, DPP for the past 1 week has also removed Jappy Muhango from being a whip. And people from the north are not aware that this party is the one that brought quota system in this country.
Honorable member, how do you know that they don't know?
That's why I'm here to stand, that they need to know that this DPP is the one which brought quota in Malawi. And people from the north were being neglected. And for the past 1 week, Honorable Jappy Muhango from the north was removed. Right now they're saying leader of opposition is from the Cholo, leader of whip is also from the Cholo. Why? Why Cholo? Because with these few remarks, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I support what they... Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Maybe you are giving a Valentine's Day gift to the people of the north. Chief Whip, Leader.
Madam, I rise to beg that we curtail debate in order to allow the chair to wind up.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put a question, and the question is that debate be curtailed in order for the chair to wind up. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Chair, Media.
Thank you very much, Second Deputy Speaker. Let me thank the people of Mwanza West, Doa Northeast, the leader, Zomba Chisi, Zomba Antonia, and Nzimba South for saying a word on our report that I presented this afternoon. But first of all, let me commend the President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, because I would do injustice if I don't mention that, as you are aware, this law was passed in 2016, but it is only during his tenure, his government, in 2020, that's when it became operational. So let me commend him for making sure that ATI became operational in 2020. This just shows how serious his government is to make sure that all public institutions comply with this act. There were issues about allocating more resources to Malawi Human Rights Commission. Let me mention that this is one of the challenges that we faced during our meetings, that Malawi Human Rights Commission doesn't have enough resources to make sure that they do their oversight role, as we are aware that the law gives Malawi Human Rights Commission the overall oversight role on this ATI. I believe that we have to acknowledge that the absence of the ATI has brought a lot of issues, especially that most of the people are turning to social media maybe to get information, which is not supposed to be the case. We have just heard here that we are receiving a lot of money in our councils, a lot of money in MDAs, but if MDAs are not ready to comply, to give out information for people to access that information, then it will be like we were here as members of parliament just coming up with a law which institutions don't want to comply. So let me remind all institutions that have not complied up to now our resolution still remains that as of 31st December, every institution was supposed to give a report, they were supposed to comply, and if they are not complying, we will not hesitate but to refer these institutions to the Public Appointments Committee so that they can help us to make sure that all controlling officers comply with the ATI. With these few remarks, Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the report be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I now put a question, and the question is that report by the Media Committee be adopted by the whole House. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Therefore, the report has been adopted.
General business, presentation of committee reports, item number 7, report of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Appointments on its recommendations on the conditions of service for the judicial officers.
Chair, public appointments.
Madam Speaker, I beg to present the papers standing on my name under item 2B, Roman numeral 7 of the order paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergeant Adams. Thank you. Chair, public appointments, do you wish to speak to your report?
Yes, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Please come forward.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker, let me thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to present a report on behalf of the Public Appointments Committee of Parliament. Madam Speaker, as a matter of introduction, the Public Appointments Committee is established under Section 56, Part 7 of the Constitution and draws its functions and mandate from the Constitution, various acts of Parliament, and the standing orders. With regard to the subject of this report, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the committee draws its mandate from Section 114 of the Constitution and Standing Order 157. Section 114 of the Constitution provides that, and I quote, "The Chief Justice and all other holders of judicial office shall receive a salary and other employment benefits for their services, and on retirement, such pension, gratuity, or other allowances may, from time to time, be determined by the National Assembly." End of quote. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, as quoted earlier under terms of
order, honourable member. The honourable
order,
member standing that side. The leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Standing Order 156 Part C mandates the committee to recommend to the Assembly salaries, benefits, and allowances for the Chief Justice and other holders. This report, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, presents the recommendations of the committee for adoption by the House. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, motivation for the recommendations. Madam Speaker, the Solicitor General wrote the committee requesting for clarity on the applicable rate of housing allowance for a retired Chief Justice. The terms and conditions of service for judicial officers provides that upon retirement, a Chief Justice shall be entitled to a housing allowance calculated as a percentage of the rate of housing allowance for an incumbent Chief Justice. However, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the terms and conditions of service do not provide a rate of housing allowance for an incumbent Chief Justice. Instead, a Chief Justice is entitled to a government house. As a result, the judiciary is unable to implement the conditions of service for a retired Chief Justice in terms of provision for housing. Furthermore, the committee observed that terminal benefits for retired Chief Justices were developed recently. As such, the benefits have not been extended to all retired Chief Justices. Therefore, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, on recommendations, the committee recommends the following. A, that the rate of housing allowance for a sitting Chief Justice for purposes of calculating the housing allowance for a retired Chief Justice be fixed at 2 million kwacha per month. Secondly, that terminal benefits for retired Chief Justices beyond the benefits under the Pension Act should apply to all living retired Chief Justices. In conclusion, Second Deputy Speaker, in accordance with Section 114, Part 2 of the Constitution and Standing Order 157, Part C, the committee presents in this report its recommendations on the conditions of service for judicial officers, and the report is presented to the House for consideration and adoption. With these few remarks, Second Deputy Speaker, I present the report to the House for adoption. Thank you, Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair for Public Appointments Committee. May I have a seconder from the committee? Nkarabe South, West?
Second Deputy Speaker is Nkarabe Southeast.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Second Deputy Speaker. Before I second the report, let me join an honorable member who wished you Happy Valentine's Day. And I must not only you, but all the honorable women in this house, I wish them Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much on their behalf.
And going further, Second Deputy Speaker, a container of gifts has been sent, care of Women Caucus, so you go and share there. And also let me appeal to men that, today is Valentine's Day, and our women obviously are expecting something in our houses. Valentine's Day does not know age. You can do a little something. You not only houses, everywhere. You can buy a little something. Buy a red envelope with a heart. If you can't buy a gift, you can even put a bottle of water like this one. It will stand for a gift. At least you'll be happy. So let's do that at least for today.
Commissioner, 2 minutes has gone.
Our Second Deputy Speaker, I stand here to second the report as ably presented by my chair, who is also my apongozi, about the anomaly which was there for the retired Chief Justices. You know, Second Deputy Speaker, one thing that people or public servants, they dread is retirement. When they hear about retirement, people would not want to retire for several reasons. Either we're not prepared, we did not build a house, or maybe the conditions after retirement are not what we want to be. As a result, people live miserable lives, sometimes to the extent that it affects their health. So with this, we thought it wise that we should look after our retired Chief Justices. They have done a good job. They should continue to enjoy their lives. They retire with good vehicles. So imagine somebody retiring with a very nice vehicle that government has sold to him at a price as determined by the conditions of service. Then he parks that vehicle at a house which is not suitable for somebody who had worked for this country at the topmost of the judiciary. Therefore, we thought this was an anomaly which had to be corrected. Therefore, that's why, as a committee, after being written by the Solicitor General, we thought it wise that we should do something about it. It's not because we love the judiciary, but because the Constitution says so. So therefore, we have to follow what the Constitution says. That's why we did that. Therefore, I urge all honorable members to support this report. With those few words, Second Deputy Speaker, I second the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our Commissioner. Anyone to take the floor? Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, I rise to curtail debate in order to allow the chair to wind up.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I now put a question, and the question is that debate be curtailed in order for the chair to wind up. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Chair, public appointments.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and let me thank Honorable Commissioner from Kadabe Southeast for seconding the report, but also your office for giving me a chance to wind up. Second Deputy Speaker, as ably said by the Honorable Commissioner, who is also a member of the Public Appointments Committee, it's really good that as Parliament we follow what's in the Constitution, and I'm very happy that this afternoon the honourable members of Parliament who I believe agree with Public Appointments Committee that we do as we deliberated and as suggested in the report regarding the housing allowance for the retired Chief Justices and all living retired Chief Justices. With these few remarks, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the report be adopted by the whole House. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable members, I now put a question, and the question is that the report of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Appointments, as presented by the Chair of the committee, be adopted by the whole House. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. And the report has been adopted. Yes, Chief Whip.
Arise to provide guidance that we now move to presentation of delegation reports, and we start with one. So it's just flowing. No need. I don't think there is need for a motion.
Thank you, Chief Whip.
General business, presentation of delegation reports. 1. The Honourable Member for Chikwawa South to present a delegation report to the 65th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, which was held in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, from 20th to 26th August 2022.
Thank you. Honourable Member for Chikwawa South.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to present the papers standing on my name under item 2C, Roman numeral 1 of the order paper.
Thank you very much. Sergeant Adams. Thank you. Honourable Member for Chikwawa South, do you wish to speak to the report?
Yes, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Please proceed.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker and the entire House, first and foremost, I'm very honored to present this delegation report to the 65th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, which was held in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, from the 20th to the 26th of August 2022. On behalf of the Right Honourable Speaker, Madam Catherine Gotani Hara MP, who was the leader of delegation to this conference, pursuant to Standing Order 52, 1, I wish to present the delegation report to the House for noting. You may wish to note, Madam, that the conference was held under the theme Inclusive, Accessible, Accountable and Strong Parliaments, the cornerstone of democracy and essential for development. This conference allowed parliamentarians and parliamentary staff to learn from each other and share best practices with colleagues from Commonwealth parliaments. Honourable members, the delegation report has been organized as follows: the outline, the introduction, and the official opening address, and discussions on selected topics and what transpired during the annual general meeting, among others. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the 65th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference was officially opened by the Vice Patron of CPA, Her Excellency Right Honourable Mary Simon, Governor General of Canada. In her address, she acknowledged the historic gathering despite the COVID-19 pandemic to finally meet in person after more than 2 years of virtual meetings. The Vice Patron of CPA pointed out that the Commonwealth diplomatic cooperation and strong bilateral ties were so paramount. She expressed that by coming together during such conferences, setting common goals, identifying challenges and seeking solutions to mitigate them, Commonwealth nations led by example and acted as an influential force for good in the world. Furthermore, she indicated that the conference theme reaffirmed a shared commitment to democracy, open and tolerant societies, fundamental human freedoms, and equality to ensure that CPA achieves a brighter tomorrow for all. Her Excellency urged Commonwealth parliamentarians to work together to uphold democratic principles and values. Finally, the CPA Vice Patron concluded with saying that the Commonwealth is not merely a name, but a goal, a society of nations that work together with common objectives. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, during the conference, selected topics were presented, discussed, and recommendations were made on some of the following topics. 1, effectively combating all forms of abuse and harassment in Parliament. Financial empowerment of women and gender-sensitive budgeting. Remaining relevant in response to the pandemic, the role and responsibilities of Parliament and the role of Parliament in achieving sustainable development, among other things. Upon consideration and deliberations on various topics, the conference came up with recommendations as follows: that in promoting women's empowerment and greater diversity in public office, parliamentarians and legislatures should take an institution-centric approach towards lasting change. National and subnational legislatures across the Commonwealth should ensure that the parliaments had policies and legislation in place to effectively tackle harassment and abuse in all its forms for all persons in Parliament. Commonwealth parliaments must ensure that all budgets incorporate a gender lens and all policies and agreements are gender sensitive. Commonwealth parliaments should use lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic to proactively explore gender-sensitive practices.
Order in Zimba South.
Parliaments should develop
Zimba South.
Contingency plans for future pandemics.
He's not a leader of the backbencher.
The contingency plans should facilitate the discharge of parliaments in all of its roles and responsibilities and allow for procedural changes, public consultation, and adaptable in accordance with the specific crisis. Members of the Commonwealth Parliaments were urged to familiarize themselves with the Sustainable Development Goals, their indicators, and the mechanisms that they have to contribute toward the implementation by 2030. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, during the conference, the following issues were identified which require the attention of the Parliament of Malawi for its effective operations. There was great need to establish constituency offices to keep parliamentarians engaged with their constituents. The delegates acknowledged how hard the COVID-19 pandemic had hit most communities, but also provided an opportunity to think in an innovative manner on how to run parliaments through various innovations. That parliaments should pass laws that overcome challenges in the development of gender-based budgets and policies. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, during the 65th CPA General Assembly, the delegates agreed upon several key issues, among others, a new roadmap to CPA's goals of recognition as an international interparliamentary organization, approval of important constitutional amendments, women's representation as full delegates to the CPC, and regional rotation for future appointments to the role of the CPA Secretary General. In conclusion, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, it is expected that the delegation report should be noted by the House so that necessary action is taken by Parliament of Malawi on key lessons learned and recommendations made to ensure continuous improvements. Finally, let me take this opportunity to thank the Right Honourable Speaker, Catherine Gotani Hara MP, who was the leader of delegation to the conference, and the Clerk of Parliament, Mrs. Fiona Kalemba, for making the trip a success. Thank you so much for your attention. May God bless us all. I therefore beg to move that the report should be noted by the House. I beg to move, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable. Honourable members, we go straight into general debate of the report. Takers? Yes, Mwanza Central.
Madam Second Deputy Speaker, Madam, thank you so much for giving space to people of Mwanza Central to say something about the report on the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. Before I say that, Madam First Deputy Speaker, if you may allow me, because there were certain proponents of Commonwealth parliamentarism, and most of them stemmed from the Cromwellian belief in 1653. But if you may allow me, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, to read the most prominent proponent of Commonwealth parliamentarianism. And this was Edmund Burke, an astute member of Parliament of the House of Commons in Bristol in 3 November 1774. He said, and I quote, I'm reading verbatim for the benefit of people who can be able to quote from my book. Parliament is not a congress of ambassadors from different and hostile interests, which interests each must maintain, or as an agent or advocate against other agents and advocates. But Parliament is a deliberative assembly of one nation with one interest, that of the whole, where all local purposes, not local prejudices, ought to guide, but the general good residing with the general reason of the whole. this end of court, and this is Edmund Burke in 1774, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. The report of Common Parliamentary Association, which needs to be domesticated by Malawi Parliament, is so important because, as we all know, that Parliament comes from les parlementaires to talk, and that our history is embedded in the House of Commons and the old Legium Concilium or Coram Regi, the great councils of the old days. Since today, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Catholic Church is studying what we call the period of Quadragesima, to study with the Ash Wednesday. I wish everybody well here. But notwithstanding that, though, I want to say that our colleagues who went to the conference in Canada had brought in certain initiatives that this parliament must domesticate and learn from our esteemed parliaments that have been there for some time. This will help in our behavior, the way we debate, the way we serve our people, the way we look at each issue, and the way we respect the rule of the land. This is it. This will also help. First Deputy Speaker, well, I'm speaking as a novice from this side. First Deputy Speaker, Second Deputy Speaker, Madam, I want to agree and passionately say that in coordination and consultation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the issue of domestication and other governing ministries and this Parliament, I hope we will learn more from the Common Parliamentary Association. And I hope one of these days, when the Right Honourable, your office Speaker, makes proposals as to who goes to where, when they're going to the House of Commons, room number 4, I'm so nostalgic to see that because I visited this some time back. Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Lilongwe. Commissioner, is that in Zimba? Dedza North.
Thank you very much, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. I know I'm not a commissioner, but if it's a prophecy, then I receive.
I wanted the commissioner because he's near you to tell me who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. The people of Dedza North fully support this delegation report, and we were much more interested when the report recommended an idea to establish constituency offices. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, it is only the office of the Member of Parliament that doesn't have an official office of all the offices that officers in this country have. For example, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, you would realize that in education, you have the pair who has an office. It's called the TDC. You will find out that at an EPA, there is a government office, which is called an EPA, and there is the AEDO or AEDIC, whichever way they call them. You realize that the TA himself has actually an office, and they have a clerk actually paid by the government or by the council. But the Member of Parliament himself doesn't have any office anywhere. And it is sad that it is only here in Malawi, Madam Speaker. Because just a few days ago, I had a chance, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, to visit Jerusalem. And we visited the Israelite parliament. In that house, Madam Speaker, they have 120 seats. But the members of parliament, at least if they have an office right there in parliament. So they have an office. So for us, we are not necessarily demanding an office or requesting for an office within this facility, but at least in the village, in our constituencies. That's where we need to have an office. Because now the houses of members of parliament
they now turn into offices. And it becomes a problem sometimes because you could see how our situation in Malawi is. Do you know that where we have what we normally call the constituency talent center, then we actually go and borrow an education facility to turn it into a constituency talent center. Instead of the constituency office would have been serving that purpose. So it's not just a matter of the constituency office serving as an office for the member of parliament, but again it will be serving as a constituency talent center during the elections. Not that we should be going to an education facility. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I like that recommendation and I wish as a country if we could move into that direction. And I like it because the President in his first sona in this House, he mentioned about the constituency office, but we don't know where that story ended up. I'm looking forward to a day when a member of parliament, especially now that we have new demarcations, so now it is clear that if we want to build an office, at least on a central point of that constituency, whether it will be bearing the flag of Malawi, whether it will be bearing the flag of parliament, I'm not sure technically which one it will be bearing, but that will be something that we need to be fighting for. Because we need to fight it for the office, as theoretical as it is, as a technical office, but again we also have to fight for the office with a physical building, whereby when you are elected, you know where you'll be based, where you'll be celebrating, where you call it an office. So I totally, the people of Dedzanov, the people from Senior Chief Tambala and T.H. Auma, fully support this report and the recommendations that they have come up with. Thank you very much, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, I rise to beg that we curtail debate in order to allow the presenter to wind up.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I now put a question, and the question is that debate be curtailed in order for the presenter to wind up. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Chikwawa South.
Thank you very much, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, and also allow me to thank the honorable members who have contributed to this report. Let me also acknowledge the importance of the issues raised by the honorable member for Mwanza Central, that indeed there is a need for collaboration and coordination for various stakeholders, including the Parliament of Malawi, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to domesticate these issues, more especially the key lessons that we have learned. And he talked about other issues, about the House of Commons, the other historical context of the Commonwealth. So if he was here, I would have asked in front of you, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, that indeed in one of the trips we need to accommodate him to come with us, and also so that we believe what he says, because he can just come, he comes here and he says 1653, 1725, we just laugh about it, but we have no idea whether he's saying the truth or not. So it would also be an opportunity for us to believe what he says, but we trust that he's well equipped. And also let me thank the honorable member for Dedza North on the issue of the constituency offices. This, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, is indeed one of the critical parts of the legislature, because from the meeting we discussed issues to do with the importance of parliaments to always be active, because it is in these situations that when we have a crisis, power is vested in the executive arm of government. So it makes it very difficult for the country in as far as checks and balances are concerned. So once we have these offices, and also maybe in future, maybe introduce electronic voting like in other parliaments. So this will ensure that governments are held accountable in times of crisis such as the COVID-19 crisis. With these remarks, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, allow me to say that I beg to move that the report be adopted by the House. I beg to move, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I now put a question, and the question is that the delegation report to the 65th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, as presented by Chikwawa South, be noted by the whole House. Those of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Therefore, the report has been noted. Chief Whip.
Yes, Madam. Just a little waiver that we skip 2 and 3, and then we start from 4 and run all the way to 6. Sorry, 9. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip.
Presentation of delegation reports, item number 4. The Honourable Member for Dedza South to present a delegation report on the Honourable Member for Dedza South to present a delegation report on the 53rd SADC-PF Plenary Assembly, which was held in Arusha, Tanzania from 2nd to 8th July 2023.
Thank you. Honourable Member for Dedza South.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to present the papers standing on my name under item 2, subsection C, subsection 4 of the order paper. I beg to present.
Thank you. Sergeant at Arms. Thank you. Dedza South, do you wish to speak to the report?
Yes, Madam Second Deputy Speaker.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I feel honored to stand before you in this August House to present a delegation report of the SADC Parliamentary Forum 53rd Plenary Assembly that was held from the 2nd to the 8th of July 2023 in Arusha in the United Republic of Tanzania under the theme, Modernizing Agriculture to Address Food Insecurity and Youth Unemployment in the SADC region, the role of Parliament. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the theme was pertinent on the SADC region and especially to Malawi as we are struggling with food security and modernization of our agriculture sector. As a lawmaker, and the chairperson for the SADC Parliamentary Forum, Committee on Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, I felt and still feel challenged by this theme. Madam Second Deputy Speaker and my fellow honorable members, our current situation in the agriculture sector needs major improvements. I believe that as members of Parliament, we have the platform and power to change the turn of our misfortunes to opportunities in the agriculture sector. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, before I get further into the business that was discussed under the theme, I'm pleased to inform this august House that the 53rd Plenary Assembly of the SADC Parliamentary Forum was graced by the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan. In her remarks, she emphasized the significant role of members of Parliament to address food security and unemployment, and the need for the SADC region to start exploring innovative ways to address food insecurity. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Plenary Assembly proceeded to receive country reports from delegates which highlighted progress made on the implementation of the resolutions of the 52nd Plenary Assembly by the member states. During deliberation, the plenary noted with satisfaction the efforts that were being made by various member states towards ensuring the resolution were addressed at the national level. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Assembly also received and noted a statement from the chairperson of the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, in which she informed the plenary that despite global efforts, women were still facing discrimination and remained significantly underrepresented in politics and decision-making roles. She indicated that there was evidence that the world would not be able to achieve the gender equality by 2030. Consequently, the Plenary Assembly noted that the SADC parliamentarians' role was critical to dealing with issues of gender equality in the region, and it was incumbent upon the Forum to use its model laws to set standards for gender equality in the region. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, pursuant to Rule 45 of the Rules of Procedure, the 53rd Plenary Assembly also received and noted a statement from the Right Honourable Speaker, Advocate Joga Francis Mudenda, Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Zimbabwe, on decisions of the 20th session of the Executive Committee of the IPU held in Lisbon, Portugal, on the 28th and 29th of June 2023. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Plenary Assembly adopted two reports of the Executive Committee, one on policy and administrative matters, and the other on financial matters, also known as the Treasury Report. The reports dealt with multiplicity of policies and administrative and financial matters of the Forum, including the transformation of the Forum into a SADC regional parliament, and the registrations of the SADC Parliamentary Forum and its successor trustee, among others. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Treasurer's report highlighted that the approval of the transformation of the SADC PF into a regional parliament had already been granted by the heads of state and heads of government, and it was therefore incumbent upon all members of the SADC PF to continue conserving, to domesticate the levels to ensure that the necessary signatures were appended to the agreement amending the SADC Treaty in order to conclude the final stages of the transformation. Because of time, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I will not present each and every agenda item that was discussed at the Assembly. However, I wish to inform this House that, among others, the following issues were discussed, Madam Second Deputy Speaker. 1, discussions on the debt ceiling in SADC member states. 2, discussions on hunger and food insecurity. 3, discussions on the youth involvement in agriculture. 4, discussions on gender and climate justice, sexual and reproductive health and rights vis-à-vis climate and emergency situations. 5. Utilization of the electoral system designed to achieve inclusive governance, especially the participation of women, youth, and minority groups, political financing regulations, and legislating for strategic and sensitive assets while encouraging direct investments and progress made towards the domestication of various model laws. For instance, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, the Assembly discussed and adopted a report of the Regional Parliamentary Model Laws Oversight Committee on progress on domestication of the SADC model laws on elections using electoral systems designed to achieve inclusive governance, especially for women, youth, and minority groups, participation and representation, as well as political financing regulations. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, in my conclusion, I wish to thank you, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, and the Secretariat for providing with the delegations all the necessary support for the attendance and participation to the 53rd Plenary Assembly in Arusha, Tanzania. With these remarks, Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity accorded to me to present this report, and I hereby beg to move that the report be noted by the whole House. Madam Second Deputy Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for the South. Honorable members, the floor is open for general debate. We need takers on the floor. Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, it looks like members have noted the report really well, and probably the chair can just, the presenter can just wind up. Yeah, he's already moved. I think he doesn't need to wind up. Maybe you can just pose the question.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I now put a question, and the question is that the delegation report on the 53rd SADC PF Plenary Assembly be noted by the whole House. Those of that opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say no. The ayes have it. Therefore, the report has been noted by the whole House. Honorable members, because of time, we have to go for a healthy break. We'll be back at 4 p.m. House suspended.